ba ma tolloo ci fukk ak ñett lañ ma may sëy ma tawloo ci doom bu jigéen.
I was married at 13 years old, and the next year I had a child, and it was a girl.
doom bu jigéen bi benn at laa ko nampal ñu nangu ko dem jox ko sama mag ndax xale laa mënumaa yor xale.
When she was 1 year old, after I had breastfed her, she was taken away from me by my sister, my older sister, because they told me I was a child and I couldn't take care of this baby, and so they gave it to my older sister.
sama mag yor xale bi ma nekk sama néegu sëy di sëyaat. yàlla def ma toll ci fukki at ak juróom-ñaar ma ëmb. ba ma ëmbee ma am doom ci fukki at ak juróom-ñett.
mais waxuloo ci lu xewoon ci doom bu njëkk bi.
doom bu njëkk bi sama mag dañoo amoon at bu ne ñu dem lël sama mag jël ko yóbbu ko ci lël bi.
waaw
ba mu ko yóbbee ci lël bi mu des fa.
She said that girl that I gave birth to, who was given to my older sister, was taken by my older sister when she was 3 years old to the lul, which is the ceremony where they do the cutting. And afterwards I was told that she had died.
boobu fekkee na xale bu des ci lël bi rek dañu naan duñu ko teg aada bi dañ koy teg ne dafa nekk nitu ndox ne rab la.
And they told me that it was the spirits that had done it. They didn't associate it in any way with any kind of medical thing. It was the spirits that had taken my child.
ma am fukki at ak juróom-ñett am sama ñaareelu doom.
Then at 18, I had another child, a girl.
doom ja ba mu wasine ñu ngénte ko mu ngi tudd Aji Kumba.
Her name was Aji Kumba.
ma yor ko juróom-ñaari at maa ko yoral sama bopp.
So I had her for 7 years. 7 years she was by my side.
ma miin xale bi miin ba lool sama yaay jël ko ne da koy yóbbu ci lël ma ne ko yaay bu ko yóbbu.
And she didn't want her to go to get cut, but because it's expected, you have to do it.
mu ne ma waaw ma dem rooti bala maa ñëw mu jël xale bi yóbbu ko ci lël.
And without my knowing, when I went to fetch water, they took her. And they took her to the ceremony without my knowing it. And that's when they took her there, they did the tradition to her, and she died. And I was with her for 7 years, so I knew her well. It was the first one she had told me before. She was so young, she was 15. She didn't really understand, but this was a child she had for 7 years. And so,
ba mu génne àddina wala ñu ñëw wax ma ko nanguñu ma ko wax bu ma ne damay dem ca lël ba ñu ne ma looy wuti lël ba toogal yaaya nga fa.
They said everyone was scared to tell her this, and so they hid it from her. So she didn't know until later that she had died.
ma toog ba ñuy génn lal ma jëndal ko ay yére.
I even bought her clothes to celebrate her coming out of the ceremony, and
jëndal ko ay dàll.
Even shoes. And
ma ne yaay damay dem ca lël ba ma dem lël te xale bi. sama en ma déedéet bàyyil am nañu lëttkat. léegi bañ toogee nag ba xale ñibbi si gisuma suma doom ma ne yaay ana xale bi ñu ne ma xale bi gaañu.
She says that. Thank you. She said that it was hard because she saw all the other girls coming out, and no one had told her that during this whole ceremony, which lasts sometimes for a long time, that her own daughter had died, and so they had buried her without her even being at the burial, and this was really hard for her.
ma muñ ko ci forcé ndax aada la dama juddu fekk ko. mënuma koo dindi.
léegi wax leen ci lu xewoon ba nga dem ba def dara parce que.
yàlla def ba ma demee ba am ay yeneen doom. xale yi bu ñuy dem leel bu ñu ñëwee ne xale yi dañ leen a yóbbu leel ma ne leen man pareegu ma.
And so when her other daughters were born, she said, I'm not ready. They came to say, we're going to take her off. She said, I'm not ready for this.
waaye mënuma taxaw ne suma doom yi duñu dem.
But I couldn't say to them, I'm not going to take her. I don't believe in this.
ndax bu boobaa ku ci demul leel doo sëy.
And that was mainly because she knew that if she said that, her children wouldn't have a husband, her daughters wouldn't get married.
même boo rootee duñ ko nangoo naan. léegi xale yi des foofu.
Because no one would drink her water if she brought it. No one would eat their food if she cooks it. léegi foog nga tënk ko parce que.
voilà yàlla dimbale ma xale yi déggal ma. bu ñu bëggee wax ma ne leen seen ñaari mag yi ci lël lañ dese.
nga wax ci mbirum kii.
léegi ba ñu defee loolu nag xale yi yegoon na Demba Jaawara suñu mag mu ñëw dëkk ba. ne tostan moo ko yebal si. pour mu ñëw waxtaan ak askan bi. pour nu ñuy def ba mun a bàyyi aada bi. waaye keroog man ñi dàq Demba ca laa bokkoon. li tax ma def loolu bu ma ko jàppale woon dañu naan ni ma defalul sama doom moo tax ma jàppale Demba. waaye ba ma ko jàppale ba ma leen dàqe ba ñu waxtaan ba juba ci kaw kàddu ba ñu def suñu déclaration woon ne bàyyi nañu ko
So what happened is, and maybe I could just finish the story because she was in the village, and another village elder came to their village and told them that they were all of the intermarrying family, and they very much wanted to talk to the whole village about ending this tradition because they knew of all the pain and suffering that the girls had gone through. And at first she said that she was against this because she wanted to show solidarity with the other women who were saying, oh no, we can't talk about this, we can't end this tradition. But the more he came and talked to them, the more they realized, and more the women started standing up and saying, we've had problems, we know this is a problem. And what they did is they came together in an inter-village meeting, and they all came together and discussed this together as a family, as an extended family. And there were 13 villages that came, and they all decided together to abandon this. And then they decided on February 14th, 1998, they all stood up together and they said, we declare that no longer it will be expected for our girls to do this. They will no longer have to go through this in order to find a husband. And this was the only way in which they could be sure that they could stop this tradition in security.
dañu amé suñu daara ba ma taxaw ci daara bi ma def discours ñu bari joy nañu dimbalem pour lima daj ci aada bi ñu nekk ko nak ba ñu jàng ba tollu ci juroom ñaari sumbu ba xam wérgu yaramu jigen ba xam jafe-jafe bi nekk ci affaire yi waa dëkk bi ñun ak suñu jëkkër yi ñu waxtaan ci ba joxe la na bàyyi nañu ñu dugg ci askan bi waxtaan ak moom léegi ma ñëw ci Moli ma ne leen léegi damaa bëgg a dabi lakkat yi ndax li ma xam xamuñu ko léegi ma bëgg a dem waxtaan ak ñoom pour ñoom itam ñu xam ne affaire bi aada la dëgg la waaye aada bi gaañee da nga ko war a teg ci suuf li lay indil wérgu yaram ci na ci sa doomi aadama loolu moo jara topp Moli ànd ceeg man defal ma loolu.
So they really, during this time, they said we must have a class, we must understand more. And it was when they did the human rights and they learned about the right to survival, the right to health, the right to be free from all forms of violence, that she could stand up for the first time and talk about this. And everyone else was discussing this and how the suffering they had gone through. And then she came to me and she said, Molly, I need to go to the other villages where we intermarry. And because of her work and 4 of the other team that came from those villages, those 13 villages, they went on, and fairly recently, all 48 of the villages they went to over 1 year to get them together around this issue and get them discussing for the first time. And those 48 villages abandoned FGC because of their work. So.
We were talking before. Tell me, Molly, what they say, what she says at the end as the arms-linked anthem.
The call to action of the women, especially those first women who stood up and abandoned on their own, those courageous women from Malikunda Bambara and from Diabugu and these other villages. They said the name of our call to action is Jekabeng. Jekabeng is let us unite and decide. Let us end this once and for all. Let us unite and decide. And they say everywhere they go, Jekabeng. It's a Bambara word.